a step-by-step guide to purchasing your first rental property. If you're looking to get into real estate investing, purchasing your first rental property can seem like a scary thing to do. This guide will walk you through the entire process of purchasing your first rental property, from step 1 all the way to handing the keys over to the tenants. After reading this, you'll be ready to get started in buying your own rental property. Overview: before you begin, the first step to purchasing a rental property is coming up with a solid business plan. If you don't already have one, spend some time brainstorming your goals for your new rental property. What's your exit strategy? Do you want to flip it or keep it forever? Will you take out a mortgage on it? Or will you keep it completely debt-free? In order to answer these questions, do some research online and talk with other real estate investors to figure out what works best for them. Preparing for the purchase: before you even begin to think about looking for a home to buy, it's important that you gather your financial resources and prepare yourself for what's ahead. One of your first steps should be to calculate how much you have available for investment. The larger your down payment is, the easier it will be to obtain financing and, subsequently, at a lower interest rate. If you don't have enough money on hand to make a sizable down payment, consider saving up until you do. It may seem like an eternity away, but if you start now, in just a few months or years, depending on your current savings rate, you could be well on your way to purchasing your first rental property. Beginning the search: a common mistake people make when they begin looking for a rental property is they search in their own neighborhood. The reason? We assume it's close to home, so it's an easy commute. But location isn't everything. In fact, it may not even be one of your top priorities. Instead, focus on what you can afford and how much cash flow you can expect from each property. Location will come later. Making an offer: once you've identified a property to buy, it's time to make an offer. When purchasing a rental property, there are two different types of offers you can submit. A best and final offer is submitted with a maximum price that you are willing to pay for the home if accepted. A more common type of offer is called an introductory offer and lists your best price at first but leaves room for negotiation before making a final decision. Surveying and inspecting the property: before you start looking for a property, familiarize yourself with your state's regulations and processes to make sure you know how to best go about doing it. It's also a good idea to scope out properties that are going up for sale in your area so you can get a feel for what type of place works for you. One of the first things you should do is survey and inspect potential properties. Make sure they meet all zoning requirements, have proper permits, and don't have any outstanding code violations or liens against them. Negotiating and financing: the first step is to secure financing for your rental property. With that underway, you can begin searching for a property to buy. If you're not comfortable purchasing a rental without having seen it, you can look at properties listed on websites such as Zillow or Trulia. You could also hire a real estate agent to show you properties in person. Make sure your contract specifies an inspection period so that you have time to complete an inspection before closing on a purchase. Closing the deal: once you've found a property to buy, your real estate agent will probably present you with 2 or 3 options for how to structure your purchase. By now, you should have a pretty good idea of whether you're buying as an investor or as a homeowner. Finding tenants: when you're a new landlord, finding tenants can be tough. There are dozens of ways to attract tenants, though. You can list your property online, on Craigslist or other real estate websites. You can put up flyers in local restaurants and laundromats. You can hold an open house event and more. Managing and collecting rent: collecting rent is one of your most important jobs as a landlord. After all, you can't be profitable unless your tenants pay you what they owe. There are a few ways to make sure that your tenants pay on time, and we will walk you through them in detail. If you have any trouble collecting rent from your tenants, contact us immediately. it might be a good idea to hire an experienced property manager if you don't feel confident about managing your rental properties yourself. We can help with that too. Fixing and keeping up repairs. In most cases, you won't be able to find a rental that doesn't need some sort of repairs. And even though it is likely you will have many repairs to take care of, there are ways to make sure they do not break your bank. You should always try and get a good contractor who can do quality work at an affordable price. You should also get multiple quotes from different contractors so you can compare prices and see what fits into your budget best. The last thing you want to do is spend more than necessary on something that could have been done for less money if you had just shopped around a little more before hiring someone. Ending the relationship. If you already own a rental property, but aren't happy with your current situation, it might be time to part ways. Asking tenants to leave can be difficult, but it doesn't have to be. After all, if you want to stop doing business with someone, how you end things will greatly affect that person's future relationship with you, and your potential future relationships. Here are a few steps to help get through ending any business relationship in good standing. Make sure there isn't anything they need from you. It's important to make sure your tenant has what they need before moving on, from helping them find another place, to making sure their security deposit is returned promptly and in full. This way, even if they don't like how you ended things, they won't feel cheated by their experience with you overall.